So I'm Stuart Chamberlain. I am actually currently sort of back in the military, but as a what we class as, which we'll come on to further down the line, but a full-time reserve soldier. So in essence, I support our reservists. So just literally stumbled into the careers office. Next thing you know, I've joined up, but not as a chef, as a frontline infantry soldier. In essence, you're learning as a frontline infantry soldier. It's a bit cliche, but you're learning to survive and kill, basically, because that's what you are. You are the frontline. One side love you, the other side hate you. So that was a bit of an eye opener, you know, just going over there and just because they're on one side of the divide, they actually hate you. You're there to keep the peace. So you're going out on the ground, and you know, probably, I'd say, 75% chance you're gonna get into a firefight with insurgents. It's sort of an inevitable. It is going to happen. I might be going back on a helicopter. You know, missing a leg, missing an arm. Might even be, you know, I might even be killed. I might see my mates, you know, get blown up, get shot. So that thought is there, but you bury it. You put it in a locker. You close that locker up. Getting back from Afghanistan, I think we've lost around about 30, I think it's 36 men.
Is that while out there, or you said
since
after?
This is after we've come back.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, down to suicide. And then the Afghan army sort of team, advisory team, they were coming under massive heavy fire.
Yeah.
So what we had back, what affected me was not the belonging. I didn't belong anymore. I didn't know where I belonged. You know, and I think that's what brought it on. I just got massively depressed over it. I just thought, I don't belong. Where do I belong? What is the purpose of my life?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what it was. It didn't have a sort of purpose, and that was a massive step. Going to a non-military organisation to get help. It was just, and I think that's where we fall a little bit.
Okay, so this episode today, I'm going to put a disclaimer out before we start, because we're going to be talking about some topics that may trigger some people. So in the comments below, information below, we'll put some information for support services for anyone that is triggered by the discussions today. But today, right, in this episode, we've got a war veteran who served in the likes of Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kosovo. He's also toured around the world, such as Belize, Germany, Canada, to name a few. He's a personal trainer, motivator, and has done various bike rides to raise awareness around mental health. In life as well, we often complain about things in our day-to-day lives, which normally we do anyway as individuals. But sometimes we forget to stop and think that there's people out there that's doing work, like amazing work, putting their life at risk so that we can have the freedoms that we have in today's society. People like our next guest that we're talking about, all this work that we're going to talk about today all comes at a cost, though, a physical and mental cost, which impacts on, you know, the individual's life and their entire family in different ways. So this upfront discussion, we're going to dig deep into the life and times of a British Army veteran who was part of the Royal Green Jackets, which now is known as the Rifles Regiment. Thank you for coming up. Thank you for entertaining us today. But for everyone that doesn't know you, what's your name and what do you currently do?
So I'm Stuart Chamberlain. Oh, thanks for having me, by the way. To come along and talk about my story. So I'm Stuart Chamberlain. So I am actually currently sort of back in the military, but as a what we class as, which we'll come on to further down the line, but a full-time reserve soldier. So in essence, I support our reservists. Those are the people that still have a civilian job, but also are within the reserve army and go in, do weekend exercises, go in once a night to do training, and if called upon, if needed, and then obviously put themselves either in the front line or other jobs, such as one at the moment is helping out the Home Office with the current striking that's going on down at the customs immigration. So we step in, we do that. We can also step in and do the sort of, I've actually done it, fire service, when unfortunately I've gone on strike. So it's something that I support those soldiers when this happens, to make sure they've got the right equipment, right kit, and make sure they're in the sort of right places at the right time.
Okay. And today's episode, I mean, it's going to be hard to contain it into the time that we've got allotted, but we're going to touch on some key things. Now, I always say, before we go into the journey, it's always good to understand the backstory of the individual. So we're going to talk about life before joining the army, growing up. What was life like for you before you joined the army?
So I had a great life, just normal working class person, family from Birmingham. Great parents, still have got great parents. Brothers, I've got 2 sisters, an older sister, younger sister, and a younger brother as well. Sort of grew up in Kinstanding, for the first part, all the way up to sort of, I was probably around about 14 years old, and then moved over to sort of Great Bar. But yeah, absolute, fantastic upbringing. Went to school, local schools, Great Bar. But one of them that sort of, I wouldn't say kept me on the straight and narrow, but sort of stopped me hanging around the streets as you normally do. Not there was nothing wrong with that, because at the time I didn't get up to no good, if you know what I mean. Just a normal mischievous thing kids get up to. But then sort of got into boxing. So it's the box for Aston Amateur Boxing Club, which was, yours will remember, but some of the listeners might remember, is the Holt pub at the end of the Villa ground, opposite the church, when that was a pub. So the boxing club was upstairs. I used to box for that, even though my family's, they're all avid Albion fans. So obviously that didn't go down too well. I had to put blue and claret and blue shorts on to obviously to represent the club. Again, being an Albion fan myself, but it was sort of that. I don't know. I think that started my journey into sports as well. So I've always been into sports. School wise, I was just your average run of the mill kid. Just the average sort of grades. The old classic, could do better if you tried harder. I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
And again, just enjoyed sports and stuff. I think while there as well, so the majority of, and I'll say this because you see it a lot in society now, is, again, obviously touching on another subject completely away from mental health, but it's the sort of the race subject, where I'd say 90% of my friends were either Asian or black, so it's, and they were my friends and they were my good friends, and I'm still in touch with some of them. In fact I did, because I got suspended from school for being persecuted, being called the word I can't stand, the M word, which none of us like, the M word, a lover, just because my friends are, Asian, or, my best friend was an Asian at the time. And that's probably the first time I started getting into trouble as such, just for standing up for something that I believed in. And this is why I'm doing, so with the mental health thing as well, this is why I do, because it's something I strongly believe in. But yeah, so I started going down the realms of, I wouldn't say getting into trouble, but just fighting corners and just standing up to people, standing up to bullies, and standing up to people that, just standing up to racists, basically. You know what I mean? So that was sort of the back end of my sort of schooling, sort of life. And then, I don't know why, I just sort of want to be a chef. Really, really massively want to be a chef. And then my parents didn't put me off it, but did say it's a really hard job. If you go into it, you've got to put 100% into it. You get no time for yourself. You're in it full time, sort of thing. Didn't really put me off. Still enjoyed it. Still enjoy cooking now. But towards the end of school, I was like, right, I've got to go back to school, sort of go back to school, I've got to go to college, got to go to catering college, stuff like that. And I just went, I don't want to. I did just, it's not that I didn't like school, just it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I was randomly walking around Birmingham City Centre. I think I went up to go and get a pair of trainers or something. And literally just fell into the careers office. And I thought, you know what, I'll be a chef. And I was going to join the Navy at first because my granddad was in the Navy years ago.
Yeah.
So just literally stumbled into the careers office. Next thing you know, I've joined up, but not as a chef, as a frontline infantry soldier. And that's sort of how my sort of, I say childhood and adolescence was, because I joined when I was 16 years old as well.
Yeah.
So literally straight, did my GCSEs,
Yeah.
and literally went straight in. And I think the Gulf War was on at the time as well, or wasn't, it was just finishing. So all that was on. So the hype of the Gulf War as well, obviously it makes people join. It does. It's horrible to say. We always say war makes money. Unfortunately, it does, especially for big businesses. And also it recruits people.
Yeah.
They see what's going on. They see that at the forefront of people's minds, like the NHS was when COVID was on. Yeah. It's just the way it's the way we work, because you're in the spotlight constantly.
Yeah.
And because that was on, I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind a bit of that myself. And then literally walked in, all intentions of joining the Navy, but just got sort of press ganged by the army downstairs, who was a green jacket. So next thing you know, I signed the dotted line. Parents didn't know. Sort of signed up, had to then go home with a letter to say, am I allowed to join the army? And they just sort of looked at me really surprised, but backed me, you know, and give their full blessing for it. And that's then started obviously with my onto the next sort of part of my life is joining the army at 16 years old.
What was it like when you know those first few weeks, few months and that? What was it like? Because at 16, I'm trying to go back now to when I was 16 and how I would have felt signing up for the army and then actually going and starting that training. What was those initial feelings like? It
was daunting. Don't get me wrong. It was really daunting. I wouldn't say I was an introvert kind of person, but I wasn't an outgoing sort of type person. Sort of sat back. What we class in the military as a grey man. Sort of sat back. Yeah. Just cracked on with whatever I had to crack on with. Didn't make a song and a dance about it. Just got on with it, sort of thing, to the best of my abilities. So meeting characters that are really sort of out, like, you know, you're meeting people from different parts of the country you've never spoke to before, like getting to grips with the accents, like Scousers, Geordies, you know, real proper Cockney lads. People from literally all parts of the country, because that was a good thing about my regiment. It wasn't a sort of a local regiment, where our local regiment is like the Fusiliers, or who are served with now the Mercian Regiment. So you sort of come from the same sort of area, demographically wise. But within the Green Jackets, it was literally just a mismatch. We even had, you know, people from South Africa. There's people from Australia, New Zealand. It was just it was just a mad culture shock, especially being at 16 years old. I'll never forget getting on that train from Birmingham New Street, having to go down all the way down to Winchester, which is just short of Southampton. Yeah. And my dad always says he had to go to work that day. I went up with my mum and my grandma up to the train station. But when I left the house, he says, I'll never, ever forget that look of your face. Because I had sort of a baby face as well. The look back at my dad to say, what am I doing? He just said, Jesus. He saw that, I wouldn't say a frightened look, but a very, very nervous. In fact, I would say probably a frightened look. Yeah. You know, because it's a big thing. That's it, I'm going away and joining the army. Yeah. Let's get on the train then to, you know, on your own sort of thing. First 2 weeks, I was homesick. I wouldn't say I wasn't. I think we all were. Some masked it better than others. Yeah. Some literally couldn't handle it. So just because we was under sort of 18 years old. Yeah. So you're allowed to like get a letter off your parents, and they actually can sign it to say, oh, my son needs to come out, and they can leave. Yeah, it's only when you're 18, because when you was 18, you actually sign the dotted line to do those 3 years. Oh, okay. Initial 3 years. But when you're under the age of 18, it's called Queen Service, not colour service. Therefore, you can sort of ask your parents, right, I've had enough of this, I want to go. Quite a few lads did, and they left. Quite a few lads wanted to do it. Parents wouldn't sign the paperwork.
No.
Believe it or not, no. You're not coming back, you're sticking it out. And they did. And they got through that first initial 2 weeks. Then you sort of start easing into it then. But it is just a massive, massive culture shock. So you're went into a room. There's 8 of us in a room. So within the army, it's called a section. So a section of eight men within the infantry. And it's like a sort of a fighting section. And that section's broke down into 2 4-man teams. So you'll have a Charlie, what we call Charlie fire team, and a Delta fire team. Yeah. So that room's then split into 2 4s. I'm still in contact. One of my best mates who I shared a bed, I was in the bed next to, we're still really good mates. I mean, he's still in the army, regular. And you sort of, that's when you start making that close connections with people. You sort of, you know who you're going to be good mates with, if you know what I mean. Yeah. You just gel. I mean, you gel as a team anyway, but you know there's a couple of lads there that you're like, yeah, you just get on really well. And when you used to go on leave, you used to go to each other's houses and stuff like that. But after the first couple of weeks, you just start settling in, because you've learned the sort of very, very basics. It's hard work, it's graft. Back then, I wouldn't say they're wrapped in cotton wool now, because they're not, because the training is probably just as ours as it was back then. Yeah. Times were different then, so there was a lot more sort of screaming and shouting. Not once, which I'm glad to say, not once was any bullying or anything. I didn't ever, luckily enough, see any of that or come under it myself. Yeah. You do hear of it, yes, and I will admit it does happen. Never done it myself, I never will. Can't stand bullies. Unfortunately, very, very minor people who do actually bully, they always get found out, and literally they get kicked out straight away anyway. Oh, okay. It's literally no tolerance, same as drugs, no tolerance, you're gone. See you later. We were quite lucky. We had good instructors, but firm, but very fair. Because with training for what I did as classed as a junior leader, so when you go in at 16, you're classed as a junior leader. So you're meant to be the training we have the future leaders of the army. So you do just short of a year's training, where an adult would do, I believe it's 6 months. So we do an extra 6 months on top of that. But you're learning, you go back to sort of do education, you do maths and English and all that sort of stuff as well. Okay. You do a thing called hobby night, which is a Wednesday. Luckily enough, one of the hobbies was boxing. So straight into, literally, that's what I did, straight into boxing. And you just start settling down. Was the training hard? Yeah, at times it was. Getting to grips with different weapon systems. You literally, it's like probably teaching, if you don't know nothing about mechanics, it's like throwing you straight in there, right, this is what I'm going to learn you how to strip this engine in over 10 45-minute lessons. At the end of that 10 45-minute lessons, you're going to be able to strip it and put it back together. It's the same with a weapon system. So you're literally learning it over 10, 12, 45-minute lessons during a progressive stage over a couple of months. At the end of that, you then know you've got to be proficient with that weapon system. So you know how to fight, so you're safe with it. Yeah. So learning curves really, really high, because you're just learning all these different new skills. You're also learning how to survive in the field as such. In essence, you're learning as a frontline infantry soldier. It's a bit cliche, but you're learning to survive and kill, basically, because that's what you are. You are your frontline, anti-defend as well, and that's the sole job of an infantry soldier.
You know what's going through my mind while you're talking is that transition. So the age of 16, you've gone into the army. You're moving from civilian lifestyle, where you pretty much can do what you want. You can go where you want. There's no one screaming down your back or anything, to something that's, as you're just describing it, so strict and regimented. How did you, was it hard for you to adjust to that? Someone like basically telling you what to do and when to do it?
I think with me, with some other lads as well, we're quite lucky where the fact that I think without doubt, the boxing, when I was boxed, because I boxed since I was 11 years old. Well, it was 10, and then got my medical card, sort of official sort of boxing boxing license, then boxed sort of in competitions from 11 years old. And you've got to do what the trainer says. And that's why I looked at it. When you're in that corner, if you don't do what the trainer says, you know, in that corner, you're going to get your head taken off at the end of the day. Even though you're kids, you know, you could get hurt. You know, you're going to lose a fight if you don't listen to what the trainer's telling you. They're watching it. And I think it was exactly the same thing. So you just listen to these men who, you know, some of them, the instructors who are corporals, they've been in the army, you know, 10, 12 years. So you look up to them. They're like sort of gods, if you know what I mean. Yeah. You know, so they've been there. They've been to back then it was Northern Ireland. They've been on the, you know, the streets of Northern Ireland, and that's the sort of people you sort of look up to them. Some of them are look quite fierce. It's the bark's worse than the bite. But yeah, you just cracked on, because if you didn't, you did get punished, i.e. by what we call things like show parades, and it's learning you to be disciplined. So a show parade is if your locker's not to scratch on a locker inspection, something's not folded properly because your lockers are going to be pristine. Right, you got show parade tonight, showing that. So that evening at 10 o'clock, you'd have to wear that uniform, go down to the guard room, and get inspected by the orderly officer who was down there. And then if you weren't good enough, you'd have to go back down there an hour later. So that's the sort of discipline you get. Again, if you got into scuffles as well and it happened. I had it when I was there. It's inevitable because of all these different people down there. Some are quite strong-headed. Some are not quite strong-headed. I was sort of strong-headed. You know, when you have a disagreement, I've got into a scuffle with someone, being caught, and you get charged, and you get charged. Yeah, so you and if it was bad enough, you would go to the jail on camp. I didn't. Luckily enough, I didn't. But you get a thing called restricted privileges. So 5 days restricted privileges, and a bit of a scuffle, and that means basically the show pad I just mentioned. That every single night for 5 days, you weren't allowed up to the naffy shop for them, or how many days you got RPs for. And then on sort of hobby nights, you would put to work, you know, helping out probably in the kitchens or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, so sort of bit of manual work, not degrading work, but a bit of manual work, just to try to install that discipline into you. And you sort of, right, I've learned my lesson now. I ain't going to do that again, because on top of that, so you're going down the guard room and getting inspected when everyone else is in bed, and you've got to go back. Then you get your head down to get up in the morning for a full-on day's training. Yeah. So it's a bit tiring. No going out the weekend because you're on restricted privileges as well, so you couldn't go out. Yeah. So that was the way of learning that discipline. So it's, for me, I think, again, having a great bring up from my parents. Yes. I always did what I was told. At times, obviously, didn't. Like we all used to now and again, you know, not do it. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to you. You get in trouble by your parents, get told off. But majority of the time, yeah, just listen. Just that upbringing from my parents. I think the boxing really disciplined me. And then just knowing that you have got to do what they say at the end of the day. I mean, this is what the army's all about. Yeah. You know, you get asked to do something once, you just crack on and do it.
Where was your first deployment? So you've gone into the army at 16 and you've done your training. Yeah. Where was the first post that you was deployed, and what was that feeling like where you got the call, or I don't know how you received the call? Or
so basically what happens is you finish your training, you get a big parade, and you know, you're all in your proper rig. Parents come down, we call it a pass-off parade. So it's just you've passed off, you finish your training, officially you've passed your training. Some lads actually get back squadded because they weren't up to scratch, so they'll go back probably a couple of months depending on what they need, what else they have to do to sort of catch up or get better at. They'll go back and have to carry and then do an extra probably up to 2 months training. Lucky enough, passed that straight away. And then you go to a thing called it's called battalions. So within the army, within an infantry regiment. So I was going about the sections. So you've got an 8-man section, and that 8-man section then sits in a platoon. A platoon would have 3 8-man sections, and then you'd have a platoon sergeant who's sort of your disciplinarian as such, and then your platoon commander who's an officer, who'd be a lieutenant. So he's sort of the boss. But then the platoon sergeant, because he's the senior sort of soldier within that platoon, he sort of runs the platoon and he advises, because he's been about a lot longer than what the lieutenant has, because he could have just come straight out of training from officer training. So he's that sort of steady head, that advice who gives out to the platoon commander. And then within a company, you'd have 3 platoons of 8-man three 8-man sections within a company, with a few add-ons as well. And then, just to cut a long story short, within our battalion, you get five companies within a battalion, and then you get all the battalion HQ staff like the colonel and intelligence officers and communication officers and stuff like that. So you probably, within a battalion, you're probably talking about, I'd say, between sort of what battalion it is, up to 4 to 550 people within that battalion. Yeah. Wow. So you're part of a bigger picture, and everyone's got a role to play within that battalion. Every single, even when I was first joined, went to a battalion, the lowest rank, everyone's got a part to play. Yeah. In that battalion. So I got sent to what was then 2 2nd Battalion Royal Green Jackets. Yeah. There was 3 battalions just as I was joining, but also we were literally losing a battalion as well as I was joining. So within 6 months, we went from 2 RGJ, so 2 Royal Green Jackets, to the 1st Battalion. And that was straight to Northern Ireland. And that was before the peace process had kicked in. So
was it?
So that's 92. Yeah, so July 92, went straight to Northern Ireland. At the time, I was 17, I think I was 17 3/4 when I got there. So I wasn't allowed on the streets, because you can't go on the streets until you're 18 years old. Yeah. So you're sort of just kicking about camp, just doing sort of, niff, naff and trivial, basically. Being enemy for when you're going away on exercises and stuff like that back on the mainland in the UK. But as soon as 18 kicked in, you're straight on the streets, and then just literally patrolling Northern Ireland. And that was my first sort of posting. So literally straight in the deep end, in essence. Yeah. But again, it's exciting. Back then, Northern Ireland was the main sort of, it was the main posting back then. There wasn't no big conflicts. You didn't have your Iraqs, your Afghanistans, Bosnia had kicked off yet either. So Northern Ireland was the main sort of posting where you get a medal for going over. Yeah. Because you've served in Northern Ireland. So so I did a year in Northern Ireland, which was a bit of an eye opener. One side love you, another side hate you. So that was a bit of an eye opener. Just going over there and just because they're on one side of the divide, they actually hate you. But you're there to keep the peace as such. But being in the middle of the hate and the love sort of thing from the divide is quite hard. It's quite, you're like, we're here to help. We're not here to make it worse as such. We're actually here to help. Yeah. But obviously different factions didn't see it that way. And again, it just goes into all the politics of the country sort of thing. Which if you go into it, it's just that deep. Go on and on. But so bit of an eye opener going over there.
And because I can imagine, while you're talking, right, because it's amazing. I watched some war movies, and to me, for someone that doesn't really know the structure, it seems like everything's going on at once, and I'm thinking to myself, who's controlling all of the fighters? But when you break it down, it sounds like it's organized. Everything is organized, but from an outsider looking in, you just see everyone running around and fighting. Yes. Yeah.
It is. It's a well-oiled machine, and it's different tactics come out, and we change the different tactics. But I'd say the main sort of the way we work hasn't really changed. Tactics might change because conflicts within the world change, so you have to change the way you fight. You see it now with all the drones, all the technology that's coming out, all that sort of good stuff, like the sort of silent war, the communication wars, cyber massive thing at the minute. Cyber wars are. So you sort of evolve with certain conflicts, and your training just evolves. New weapon systems will come out because it has to be you know, you have to have these new weapon systems or the new communication systems for that Pacific, whatever you're going, what task you're going to be going on. And it works from the top. So you got the colonel at the top who sort of controls the whole battalion. So he's, as it says, he's the commanding officer who's the colonel. Then you've got all his staff underneath him. And it's just a well-rehearsed drill sort of thing. It's just, you know, before you do go away to when we went to Northern Ireland or other conflicts, you know, the lead up to going there is like 12 months long. So you're doing 12 months worth of training and learning, you know, what to do and what not to do in certain situations. You're doing all that for 12 months before you go. Then you actually get out there, you know, 9 times out of 10, them situations are not going to happen. You're not going to see anything. While I was in Northern Ireland, I didn't see, you know, I wasn't part of a shooting. I wasn't part of a bombing, an IED or anything like that. It had happened to people within the battalion around there, but, you know, we didn't see anything. Probably fortunate as well, the way, you know, look at it. If you don't fire your weapon, then to me, that's sort of a good tour as such, you know. So, but yeah, so it's just well rehearsed and it's well drilled. If back then the terrorist organisations brought something new out, we'd always look at it, and the people higher up on the big pay scales, they'd look at it and like, how can we defeat this? Well, we'll defeat it by bringing this new tactic out or this new piece of equipment out. Then we'll just cascade the training down to the lowest, like I was at the time, a rifleman, to the lowest people to combat that. So it is, again, it's just an evolving machine constantly.
And the adrenaline as well. I want to touch on the adrenaline, because I can imagine when you're out there, the adrenaline, even just before you go out, the adrenaline must be really, really intense. But then you've got the come down after it as well. How do you manage?
Yeah, so I'd say with Northern Ireland, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was mundane because it was dangerous. Like I say, it wasn't. But if you went to sort of other sort of conflicts, sort of Iraqs, your Afghanistans, in particular Afghanistan, you're going out on the ground, and you know, probably, I'd say, 75% chance you're gonna get into a firefight with insurgents. It's sort of an inevitable. It is going to happen. So that's always in the back of your mind. So don't get me wrong, you are nervous because you could, and it is in the back of your mind. Some people will probably say, "Nah, it's not." It is. It's there. The fact that I'm about to go out this gate of this patrol base in the middle of sort of nowhere. I bet, you know, on the outskirts of Afghanistan village, you're going out those gates, and it could be the thought that, you know what, I might not come back. I might be going back on a helicopter. You know, missing a leg, missing an arm. Might even be, you know, I might even be killed. I might see my mates, you know, get blown up, get shot. So that thought is there, but you bury it, you put it in a locker, and you close that locker door. Because if you thought about that, you sort of never go out. You'd be too scared to go out, sort of thing, or you'd be too nervous and couldn't make a mistake if you're too nervous. So you put that thought, you put it in a locker within your head, and then you go out. And that's when the training just kicks in. Because again, the lead up to it is like 12 months, and I think that's what a lot of people don't really. That's what they don't see. So they see us sort of going away to Afghanistan, Iraq, all the other places, and we go away, you know, between 6 and 7 months. However, what they don't see is we've actually gone away from our families pre-tour before we've actually gone to the conflict area. So we're training for 12 months.
Because that's something I was going to ask you, you know, in terms of, because we all saw it 2001, right? We saw it, like, and if you talk about as well, like even when the Twin Towers happened, in my mind, if you're serving in the army, you get that phone call and you go out there. But are you saying that when something happens, you train first for about 12 months before you go out there?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And then those 12 months, you're probably away from your home, and so you're away from your families. So you're on different training areas around the country. You can't do it within camp, so you you're going to like the Brecon Beacons, or you're going down to a place called Lyddon Hive on the ranges down there, which is down sort of Dover way. You could be up in Otterburn, which is Northumberland, you know, just short of Newcastle. You go there for quite a long time. And again, because when we went away, the first time we went to Afghanistan, we were based in Northern Ireland. So we'd have to, you know, get on the ferries, come all the way over to the mainland, because nothing in Northern Ireland really. It's a big enough area to train on, especially for the live firing. So you come all the way over to UK. You'd be in UK for, you know, up to 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
And back on a coach, back on. Then you get back home, but the training doesn't stop. You'll be in camp as well. You're training within camp. And then you're sort of going away doing individual courses. Because you need, you know, some people go away, do a communications course. Some people go away, which I did a search awareness course. So again, what was that? And that was a 4-week course. So again, within that 12 months of training, I'm going away again for 4 weeks to learn how to, you know, do search awareness. And then again, it's the same with the lads. They're all going away to do different courses, learn how to drive different vehicles, but you have to go back to the mainland to do it. So all this time is separation from the family. So that's puts a lot of strain on sort of family life as well.
Yeah.
And time is precious, because you miss, you know, with me, I've got two kids that are fully grown up now. My daughter's 27, boy's 24. I miss them growing up. You know, I've missed the birthdays, I've missed Christmases, I've missed big like sort of family social events, weddings, other you know, births of nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So it does put a bit of a strain on, but I'm not saying that it was a bad thing. I saw it, when you get to that stage I was at then, that's what I got paid for. That was my job. It's the same sort of like a bricklayer. It's not my dad was my dad, my brother, and that, like my family in the trades. That's what they chose to do, and that's what they do, and they enjoy doing it. You know, I chose to join the army. That's what I get paid for, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. In fact, God, you know, loved being in the army, and that's what I get paid for. So I sort of accepted it. I was quite lucky with my wife Kelly. She sort of because we were together quite a bit before we got married, so she knew about me going away all the time, and so she sort of got her head around it as well. Unfortunately, other marriages don't last that long because the strains that much. It's inevitable. It may break at some point.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it happens, unfortunately. Like it does, you know, non-army sort of stuff. It just, you know, relationships break up, but there is more of a strain. So what people don't realise is it's, you know, rather than doing, they think, oh yeah, they go away for 7 months. We're actually probably away from home for up to, you know, 18 months.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Because with all that training that kicks in.
So you've got like, because just listening to you then, right, you've got the two things then. It's the strain on the family that you're locking away.
Yeah.
You're out there in, say, Afghanistan, and you're locking all those feelings away as well. Because as you said, you may not come home. You know, you're in that battalion.
Yeah.
And there's friends that may not even make it from any of the kind of like trips that you're doing.
Yeah.
You're locking all that away. Is there kind of like, you know, because you mentioned the training.
Yeah.
Is there training that covers that as well?
No. And I'll say that there isn't. I think they're getting better at it now because they realise that, you know, mental health is massive. The suicide rate especially within, I know my regiment, unfortunately, is massive. It's big. I should have looked at the figures before I come out. So after getting back from Afghanistan, I think we've lost in and around about 30, I think it's 36 men.
Is that while out there, or you said after?
This is after we've come back.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, down to suicide, you know, taking our own lives. Just so it's getting a little. My regiment, which I'll touch on later, we've got a thing in place. So it is getting better. I believe more needs doing. The training, you don't get any real training before you go. You do a thing called it's called trimming. So because I was a site major, I'd have to, if there was an incident on the ground, and then once all the lads I wasn't part of it, or once all the lads have come back in, we have to do what we call trauma. I think it's trauma risk. It's basically trauma risk management. You've got a set of questions, what you ask the individual, and you score them on these certain questions.
Is that when you get back?
Yeah, it's when I get back. So it's probably up to 2, once that adrenaline's gone, sort of it's now out the system, especially if someone's been hurt. You then get the individuals in, and you sit down, it's nice and chilled, you know, with a cup of tea or whatever. It's nice and chilled, you're just on your own. And you just go through these sort of pre-written questions, which are in the trim sort of manual, and you score it on their answers. Now, if that score is high, over a certain level, you then have to sort of get in touch with higher to say, look, it scored higher, might need to into. So then we push them further down the line. Might have to go from the patrol base down to Bastion, which is, so Bastion was the main patrol base for the British and the Americans in our sort of area. Yeah. The size of Swindon. That's the size of the camp. How big is massive, yeah, it's massive. And they go back there and they get questioned further. But lads being lads, I was one of them, because stuff had happened and I'd have to get trimmed. You just blagged the answers. So you knew what the scoring, because you all know what the scoring system is. So you just blagged the answers. So you know what, nah, I'm not going to go back. I'll score it so I can stay here, stay with the lads. I don't want to let the team down, sort of thing. Yeah. And then you literally, that what had happened, if something you've seen isn't great, especially if it's one of the lads or one of your mates is getting hurt, one of your team, you sort of, you just put it into it goes into that locker, into the back of the head, and that locker then gets closed, and you leave it until you come back.
So what you're saying then is that, like, if you've seen something like traumatic, and you go to this place, flag the answer so you could go back, and then you're back fighting again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because everyone knew what was. No one wanted it. I'd say don't want to let the team down. Because you're one big team. You sort of don't want to let the team down, because that means, it's putting extra strain on patrols going out. It means blokes have got to carry more equipment because we're missing one individual, probably up to 24 to 48 hours. So they're just like, just ants. Tell that whoever was doing the trim at the time, tell them what they want to do here. Yeah, so mark them down. Yeah, you're all right. And that was the only sort of, I'd say, sort of training, and the way we used to look at someone we've been in an incident, to say, are you, sort of, has it affected you? Yeah. To me, getting trimmed after probably 3-4 hours after it's happened, it's not going to manifest into the brain. No. You haven't thought about it. Probably a week later, then thoughts will come out, what happened to me? But by then you've already trimmed and you're back on it. So you don't know what actually is going on with certain individuals. Is it playing on them? Because we're all good at masking, masking our emotions, especially blokes, massively, hugely masking it. And again, I think with a hell of a lot of, especially in the forces, especially with men in the forces, that they mask it because they look at it is a kind of, it's a weakness. Yeah. If I've got a mental health issue, I'm not going to say anything about that. I don't feel a bit emotional about that, but I'm going to mask it. I don't want to look weak in front of two sergeants, sergeant major. I don't want to get the Mickey taken out, the piece taken out me, sort of thing. Yeah. So they mask it because they didn't want to let on that actually something is up with them, sort of thing.
Yeah. And did you, like, as a team, did you ever speak with one another about things that you've, like, even while you're out there, did you ever kind of like speak with one another about things that's probably affected you a little bit or affected you a lot? Or is it that you've gone out on a, for that day or that night, patrolling the area, and then you just come back and just crack on?
I think especially a team, because you bond that much while you're out there, because you're always, you work together, you live together in, in tents, and then you'll go out from a patrol base, you go out to an even smaller sort of platoon location, so you're just there as that platoon, as a company. So yeah. I was like the sergeant major in a big patrol base, but you're getting these little sort of patrol bases as well, where just you as a platoon to be down there. So the bond, it literally is another family. It's your second family at the end of the day. You've got to have each other's backs, and it's just the way it is. You've got to have each other's backs all the time. So you are literally against another cliche, you're just a band of brothers.
Yeah.
You know. So it's, you do, I think the way we used to do those, it's the sort of the black humour about it. It's, you know, I've seen it before with lads, you know, lads have been injured and they're waiting for the helo to come in, and they're saying, who's coming? Is it the Americans coming to pick me up? You know, basically the flying ambulance, or is it the Brits coming to pick me up? Everyone's the Americans to pick them up in the Black Hawks. You used to get a coin. You know, they could have literally, you could be missing part of a leg or an arm, or who's coming to pick me up? If they could still speak, yeah, the Yanks are coming. Yeah, brilliant. I'll get a coin. You know, it was just opposite. It was just stuff like that, and we'd all have a laugh and a joke. We'd get back, and I wouldn't say you poured your emotions out. You literally have a laugh and a joke about it, because I'd say, because the adrenaline rush is just absolutely intense. It's just it is the best. It's what you're trying to do. It is the best thing. You get back into camp, the adrenaline's still pumping. You're all laughing. You're literally all joking. So you don't really settle down till about 3, 4, probably up to 5 hours afterwards, and that's when it hits you. Then you're like, shit, I got hurt then. Could I got this? But you laugh and joke about it, and you know, you have that huge, that sort of, it's what we call squaddy humour. As you know, it's just, you're just laughing and joking about it. And what runs the next patrol? Let's go out.
Yeah,
you know. So in a way, you are talking about it, but you're not emotional about it. You're having a laugh and a joke about it. So that was our way of getting it out. Sort of think, oh, what if that happened? Yeah, but it didn't happen, did it? Blah blah blah. And you remember when so and so fell over? You know, this had happened, or he fell in the mud when, you know, we either withdrawing because the firefight was that heavy, so you're withdrawing. Oh yeah, so yeah, I had to drag him. So you're having a laugh, you're ripping into people, taking the piss out of people. Yeah. That was our way of dealing with it until the next one, and then you're back out again. But yeah, so that was the way.
And you've actually been in crossfire as well, like, you know, front line.
Yeah, so I'd say that I was thinking about it actually. I was thinking, what, you know, which one is best depicts a sort of firefight. So we'd gone out. It was called the Abishat Wadi. So it was like basically a riverbed that comes down. So one side, it's called a PKM team. So it was a machine gun, an insurgent machine gun team.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, when you went up the Abishat Wadi, you were going to get fired at. It was just one of those. So we went out. It was a company operation. So the whole company went out. So all 3 platoons had gone out in a formation. And then on top of that, you had the Afghan army that had gone out with a section of British soldiers that sort of are there as mentors for the Afghanistan army. So, you know, because they're learning them tactics, they're on the ground, learning them what sort of getting learned on the ground as such. So they were out as well as part of this big patrol, and then we just got fired upon by this PKM team, so basically a machine gun and other insurgents. All of a sudden, you're right, or it's literally contact wherever it is, and you sort of hit the deck. So there's a platoon in front of us. You've got the Afghan army with their sort of training section of, I wouldn't say it was trainers as such, sort of an advisory team more than anything. They were there. Again, we knew we were part of the regiment as well. You got another platoon off to one side, and literally I'll never forget it. It's probably a ditch, probably, knee height, I'd say. So you're in this, you literally hit the deck, you're in the ditch, and then it's not the bang. So obviously when the gun goes off, you hear the bang. It's the whoosh, whoosh. That's the whoosh. That's the rain going over you. Yeah. That's going past you. And you can hear it going over your head. Literally hearing it going over your head. And then I laugh about it now. So my mate Lanny, who again was a sergeant major, another sergeant major within the company, he was like the intelligence sergeant major. Sort of looked at me. He's a West Country lad, proper carrot cruncher. Still good mates for him now. He sort of looked at me. I've looked at him, and he goes, "Fucking, we're in it here, aren't we? We're just literally just laughing our heads off
while these bullets
while it's happening." So you got all the lads with us, and we're all giggling and laughing. And you've got the OC, who's the officer commanding of the company. He, again, when all the training kicks in then, he starts controlling it. I'll then start, as a sergeant major, you sort of, you control the what we call the CASEVAC if there's an injury. I would control find a place for helicopters to land. I'm there to advise the officer commanding as well. Right, I reckon should we do this, do this, do that. And I also carry spare ammunition with my team just in case we need it. So yeah, I've looked at Lanny and we were just laughing. He goes, "Who's putting he literally laughed. I dare you to put your head up. You put your head up, see if you can see him." But we've got a platoon in front that are fighting back, and then the Afghan army sort of team, advisory team, they were coming under massive heavy fire.
Yeah.
So, and what we had back in the patrol base was mortars. So it's obviously that basically fire the bombs in. And it was a case of, right, it's getting bad here. We can't spot where the PKM team was, machine gun team was. So then we got to call mortar firing. So we can withdraw under smoke. So it's basically phosphorus. They just fire it in. We've got a MFC with us, so he's part of the mortar team, but he coordinates where the bombs are going to land. And he said, right, it's going to have to come in danger close. So it's that close to us. So that's coming in. Obviously, the phosphorus causes the smoke, and that's when we withdraw. And that's what's going about with people falling over. People falling over. It's mud because it was winter. We had sort of a winter tour. So you're in up to your ankles in like thick, it's like super glue, mud. Trying to get through. You got all this kit on your back, and you're sort of withdrawing, fighting, and withdrawing at the same time. We all got out of it unscathed, and the buzz on it, the adrenaline rush and the buzz was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And it wasn't until we got back that part of the team I was company HQ, so I'm part of the HQ and help coordinate the fight as such. One of my team actually had a bullet go through his day sack. So when we were down in the ditch, a bullet had actually gone through his day sack. And that is straight up that. And that was a lad, his normal job in the army is a mechanic. But you're always a fight first, and then your sort of secondary job second when you're out there.
Is it?
Yeah, because we're short of, I won't say short of blokes, but you need if you're doing a company sort of patrol, you need everyone. Other than people who are guarding the camp, it needs to get out. So you can have chefs with you, just to help carry the kit. You can have chefs with you, mechanics, and one of the lad who had the bullet was a mechanic. But again, didn't pull him off. He just went, he didn't even realise until he got back and obviously seen the bullet hole. It had gone through a piece of, which I can't talk about, a piece of machinery in his day sack. Because it went through that as well. And that's how we knew, oh yeah, actually he did. Again, we we all look at each other and then go, and he just burst out laughing. Because it didn't hurt him and he's back. So you sort of have a laugh and a joke about it.
So with this adrenaline, because I want to talk about now, because when you decided to leave the army, right, and you've got all this, you've talked about how high the adrenaline is, but leaving the army now and trying to reintegrate back into civilian life, what was those initial months, years like for you? Because I can only imagine some of the things that you've probably saw, things that like the normal person would never even experience. Now you're coming back into what we would say normal life. Yeah. What was that like?
I'd say I'll sort of start from the start of when I decided to come out. So I did my third tour of Afghanistan, but it was a help sort of close Camp Bastion down when we withdrawing. Camp Bastion was getting withdrawn. So I was one of the sort of, I'd say a big cog within the disbandment of Bastion, of closing it down, just withdrawing different bits of kit, getting it all in and getting us ready to basically close down. And closing that camp and handing it over to the Afghan army. And I went away for, I think it was just short of 8 months. So it was a lot longer than, obviously 2 months longer than a normal 6 months tour. I didn't get any pre-leave, because normally you get 2 weeks before you go away of leave, because it was just a posting, right, to come up. It's your sort of next job, what you've got to do to get the tick in the box. So just progressing your career. Yeah, no issues. Right, looks like I'm away. I was living in Germany at the time as well, posted out there with the family. So I've gone out there, sort of did my job, but when I've come back, I've had quite a lot of leave. So literally the 2 weeks which I didn't get put on to my post tour leave,
then I had my summer leave, and so a lot of sort of holidays. Literally, while I was in Afghanistan as well, we bought a house because we just decided we need to start settling down now. My career sort of I won't say at the back end, is probably in its last. It would have been in its last third if I didn't decide to sign off. So it's what I need to settle down. I need to get back. Where I'm going to live. Right. It was always a case of I'm going to come back to Birmingham, be around family. So I'm a Birmingham boy, and that's I'll always come back. It's where my sort of roots are, sort of thing. So while I was in Afghanistan, we ended up buying a house as well, which was, again, wouldn't advise it, but we ended up doing it. So got back from Germany, and then sort of literally straight over flew into Germany, 2 days. The wife was Cal was packing the house up in Germany as well at the time while I was out there, while she was doing a degree and also looking after my son and my daughter as well. The sort of unsung heroes, what you don't ever hear about is the families. The amount they go through is unbelievable. So come straight back. Then went to Cyprus to see my sister get married. Back from there, back to Germany, closed the house down to then move back to Birmingham. But then I had loads of leave because I was doing the house up. I don't know, something triggered in me, and I just thought, I love this. I love being at home. I had more than your average sort of 2 weeks off. I had about 6 weeks. And my next job anyway was in Reading. I'm going to be in Reading. I remember ringing Lenny, who would have been sort of one up from me. Basically the regimental sergeant major. I rang him up, look, I've got this much leave, shall I come in early? He went, no, make sure you take, because he's a good mate, take all your leave. So I did. I loved it that much, being back with nieces and nephews, back with family. It was something I've never had before. Since 16, I've never ever been with family for that longer period of time, other than obviously my wife and my own kids. And it's just, I didn't realise how much I missed it until it was there in front of me. And that was when I sort of constantly made a decision, that's me, I'm getting out of the army. I like this too much. And then I remember speaking to Cal, saying, I'm signing off. It's what we call signing off. She looked at me, she went, nah. So if you cut you'd bleed green. If you cut you loved it. She honestly, she couldn't get her head around it. I went, nah, I've had enough. And she backed me, she went, yeah, fine, what are you going to do? All my family were in trials. I was going to be an electrician. It was just something that interested me. But when you sign off, you have to give 11 months notice. And we call it the 7 clicks to freedom, because you do it on a machine, and it's on your computer. It's literally 7 clicks going through certain buttons, 7 clicks. That's you signed off, and that's you sort of give your notice. Again, I'll never forget something. I get it when I went into Reading to start my job down there. Even though I was signing off, you carry on and you do your best with your abilities until you leave. You do it to the last day, sort of thing. I went and spoke to Lenny, walked in to see Lenny. He sort of looked at me and went, "You're signing off, ain't you?" He just knew by the look on my face. I went, "Yeah." No one had told him, and I went, "I knew it." It's all, I'm not gonna, you've had a massively fantastic career. I know you'll go further. You could go further, but if you've made that decision, I'm not going to talk you out of it. You're big enough and ugly enough yourself to know. That pension's already secured as well. So the sort of, I'd say the stress of trying to find a job is eased a little bit because you're getting that pension as well. So it's not obviously cover a mortgage and a few bills. So it eases it that little bit more than some of the lads who wouldn't get a pension because they haven't done long enough. So that was in the back of my head as well. And I just literally signed off. Carried on doing my job because you get all your what we call termination leave, what you're owed. I did my what we call pre-release course, because the amount of time I did, so I did 23 and a half years regular service. So I think after something like 12 years, you're entitled to quite a big chunk of money, where you use that to, again, get a course to reintegrate back into civilian life. I decided to do the electrician's course. When I did that for, I think, about 6 weeks, really intense course, but come away with the qualification. But just the way circles work within the army, I ended up getting a job through. So my commanding officer at the time, he used to go out shooting a lot. The circle he used to shoot with, a bloke from Scotland who owned a business, quite a big business. It was based in Scotland, but had a smaller depot in Birmingham, and they needed a manager. I had contracts with the MOD. It was a manufacturing company. I knew nothing about what they did or made. He just wanted a manager to go in there who was part of the military, basically. I'd say just to sort of kick it in shape a little bit, because it wasn't doing as good as what it should have been doing. And he just wanted a sort of a stern individual to go in there. So when I initially left the army, it was literally went straight in. But I went up to Scotland for 2 weeks to basically learn the trade. And a lot of the lads up there who worked on the shop floor, who were doing the manufacturing, couldn't get their heads around me, who was going to be a manager in Birmingham, on my hands and knees on the shop floor, learning what they did. And they were like, "What are you doing?" I was all, "Well, that's part of my makeup. I've got to know what you're doing and what the lads, what I'm going to be manager of down at the depot. I've got to know what they're doing to be able to, to comment." I was all, because it's just the way it is. I'm a hands-on person. If I need to get involved with whatever, if they're making, because it was a HGV manufacturing, so they made like the side curtains for heavy goods vehicles, so big side curtains for those, a manner of stuff, all ratchet, all different stuff. Basically, it was for heavy goods vehicles, sort of manufacturing company. But I needed to know that trade, because I can't tell someone to do something if I don't know it myself. Yeah. And that's the way I am. And again, I'm a big person of, don't tell someone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself either. So if I didn't learn it, I couldn't tell someone to do it, because I wouldn't, I can't do it myself. So I did that for 2 weeks up there, and then went down to Birmingham. I think that's when I wouldn't say it was a bit of a shock. I think that was when reality started to kick in a little bit. Yeah. Because when coming out of the army, I left the army as a warrant officer class 2. So the next rank up is a warrant officer class 1. After that, you apply to be an officer, a light entry officer. So you sort of gone through all the ranks you physically can before getting to an officer. So and as a sergeant major, you are looked up to by a lot of people. I remember I used to look up to my sergeant major. You've been in the army 23 years. You're normally the senior soldier of that company, even though you've got a boss who's an officer commanding, but he wouldn't have been in as long at the major. You've been in a long time. You're a sounding sort of guide to the OC. He'll come to you for advice. Again, it works both ways as well. So you're all somebody. I was a bit of a character as well from the jobs I did as well. Being, again, one of the jobs was a sniper. So that's like the pinnacle of an infantry job, being within, being a sniper. It's just, and I sort of did every job within the sniper platoon as well. So you sort of looked up, everyone looks up to you as such, because it's the platoons that people try to get in and want to get in. So I was looked up. That's not me being sort of big-headed or blowing, the proverbial out my backside. But that's what it was. And, speak to the lads now. Yeah, nice Stuart Chamberlain. And there was other lads the same. Like, there's a few lads. I'm like, oh yeah, I know him. And then you are a big thing within a battalion in the army. Yeah. But when you come out, you're back to Mr. Joe Bloggs. I'm just Mr. Stuart Chamberlain. Nothing to, the people I'm now managing. Again, they didn't know me. So that was a bit of a culture shock. And the fact that they're asking someone to do something. Normally, again, within the army, you do it straight away. Literally, you get asked to do something, you just crack on and you just do it. Within civilian life, as we all know, it doesn't work like that. You get really keen people who will do it, but then you get on the other side people who are like, yeah, whatever, don't do it or cut corners, and you have to ask them again, ask them again, and there's no sort of, I would say shouting and screaming, but a stern sort of, right, it needs doing and it needs doing now. It's profits, blah blah, and they just look at you, can't talk to me like that. Yeah, and that sort of way in the army, that's the way it was. You get brought up on that, so you get used to not talking down to or bullied into doing something. It's just the way it is. You had to be firm. It is a matter of someone could die if you don't do a certain thing within the army. Again, it's not like that in civilian street law because we're making side curtains for HGVs, but it was a bit of a culture shock. Right, I need this doing, right, blah, blah, blah. You all know how to do it, cut the material and stuff. Yeah. Go back out, still not done. Why is it not done?
Yeah.
And then I'd have to take a step back, go back to my office, take a step back, and go, right, you're not in the military anymore. Right, go back out. And then talk to them firmly, and then still weren't happening. You're like, oh God. And that was the reality check I sort of had. I went, right. So I had to change my whole perspective on the way I dealt with people. I've always been firm but fair. I've always sort of, especially within the army, when I was in the army with the company, I knew every single of my lads. I knew every single one of them by first name.
Yeah.
Even though when you're out and about in front of them, it's by the surname. If it was me, like Rifleman Chamberlain or Quarter Chamberlain or wherever it would have been. But when he's on tour, it's like sort of first name terms as such because you rely on them. If you don't, to perhaps save your life at some point. So you've got to have that sort of familiarity as such. So I know certain people don't like it within the military, but to me, you've got to have it, and a lot of other people, sort of my peer group, agree with it as well.
Yeah.
But then when you're sort of in civilian street, it's just completely different. I had to sort of reinvent the wheel for myself as such, the way I talk to people. I've always been a good people person as well. Always see if there's an underlying problem with a certain individual, if they're coming to work, something going on in the background, get them in, have a quick chat with him. You all right? Just to be there. So look, I'm not just a manager. I'm finger pointing, telling you what to do. I'm here as, if you need a chat, just come and have a chat as well. That's the sort of person I am. But it was, it was just some of the people who were working there, you could tell just didn't want to be there. They were just there to get the money. They weren't doing the work. And that's what David, the owner of the company, wanted me to do, to get rid of that sort of dead wood. Because he was driving the company down at the end of the day. Business is business. It's what pays wages. I'll never forget going out during the lunch break, walk around the corner into the car park. All I could smell was weed. And we're talking at work as well, massive welding, like high temperature welding machines.
Yeah.
And a couple of lads who, they were absolutely off their nut. Off the nut on weed. And then we were about to go back into use. I went, lads, you can't do it. Again, because I'm used to that zero tolerance of drugs within the forces as well. So, nah, lads, I can't. You can't go. They tell me to fuck off and stuff like that. Oh my God, where am I going here? I went, that's it then. You're gone, lads. You're gone. And they went, what do you mean you can't do that to us? We've been here longer than 12 months. I went, you're dismissed. It's an instant dismissal. So I can't have you working on that machine.
Yeah.
What happens if you hurt you? Not only if you hurt yourself, what happens if you hurt someone else? You've got to go. And that was, again, because literally the next day they came back, tried to kick the doors in, wanted to fight me. I was like, what is going on? And that's the sort of the culture shock. It was a little bit to me. I sort of started to get to know the demographic with that area. And it was just the area, of where I was working. And it's what the previous manager was just getting people in. Literally, he must have been dragging people off. You want a job? Yeah, come on. Not interviewing. So it was really hard. Don't get me wrong, because it's someone's livelihood at the end of the day, and it's not nice to do. And it was, did I feel bad? Of course I did. And it wasn't for the benefit of the company. It was for the benefit of the company in a way, but also it was the benefit of someone. I don't want someone getting hurt, using the machines. And you've got to have, there's a certain point where you've got to go, nah, enough's enough. And that was, nah, you can't be doing it, because they were literally off the tits on it.
And to be fair as well, just listening to it, right, it sounds like that's the early days of you reintegrating into, as you say, civilian life, because everything that they're doing in their mind is just normal, right? You can't talk to me like that, and I'll do things in my own time and I'll do what I want. But for you, you can't fathom what's going on, because you've had 23 years of discipline, and this is how it is. You get told to do something, you just do it straight away. Yeah. Zero tolerance on drugs, zero tolerance on anything else. And you've just got a job and you just do it to your best ability.
No, exactly, because you don't get taught that when you leave. Because I've been institutionalized at the end of the day. I joined when I was 16, but I class it as good institutionalization.
Yes.
I've learned a good, I've had a absolutely fantastic career. And when I look back, people ask me, would you do it again? I'll do it all again. Even the bad times, I'll do it again because it's what's made me what I am today.
Yes.
But that's the issue. So when you get out after 23, some people get out after 30 years. You are literally institutionalized, just absolutely regimented, literally regimented into doing certain stuff, getting up at the same time. For instance, when I got out, I thought I was always into sport, always into my fitness. But when I got out, I just went, I'm not getting up at certain times to go for a run at that certain time. I'm not doing it. And I just went, you know what? I'm not going to do any fitness anymore. I'm just going to completely sack it off, sort of thing. Which I'll like obviously go on about, had a massive detrimental effect on my own mental health and not doing fitness. So I just sort of stopped doing it because you're that regimented.
Yeah.
Let's try and be a civvy. You can't. It didn't work really. You can't just click your finger then become a civilian. It just doesn't work. From what I know, it's probably asking yourself, right? Going in the military, you are now a soldier. You are now you're going to do this. You're going to do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen with a click of a finger. It really doesn't. And I think with the MOD, the Ministry of Defence, the Army, I don't think there's anything out there that can sort of get them into that civilian life.
Yeah.
To integrate, it just takes too long. There's not an easy answer. There's not an easy fix for it, unfortunately. However, there's not something you can go back to. Oh, I'm having problems with this, I'm having problems with that, because once you're out, you're out.
Yeah.
There is, like, for careers, career advisors and stuff like that. But other than that, that's it. There's nothing. That's it. So you're a civilian now. See you later. It's probably like a football player leaving, a sports person, a high-end sports person, end of his career, be it retirement through injury. We also really like the footballers and like young kids who are getting cut. I think there was a Man City kid a few years ago who was cut. Unfortunately, took his life. I think he was 17 years old, something like that. It's that same sort of thing. 1 minute you're there and you're loving life, and next minute, boom, you've now got to adapt. That's now been taken. I made that decision to take it away because I wanted a bit more. I wanted to give my family time back that the time we sort of missed as such. So that was my own decision. But the integration, there's not an easy fix for it.
Yeah.
I still, if I went, because obviously I'm still serving now as a full-time reservist, but again, if I left, would it be out? Yeah. And does it scare me in a way? Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Being able to but I think I'm quite lucky where I work around a lot of civilians now within reservists. So it's an hard one, without not condoning the MOD, because I just don't think there's an easy fix for it. But what there needs to be is more where you can go back to, where there's sort of a sounding board, right? I need help with this, I need help with that. For the first probably, and a checking system over the next, say, 12, 18 months, we're checking in, how are you getting on, and if they do find, problems, they can at least sort of signpost you to, right, try this, try that. There's not that either.
To the right place, because
exactly
23, you're right when you say that there isn't a quick fix, because 23 years of undoing that type of regimented learning, it is a lot. But what I want to ask you is, when did you first realize, right, or when did you first come to terms with, there's a problem here now, I'm definitely, there's a problem?
Yeah, I'd say it was while I was at the first company I went to. It was quite stressful, trying to get profits and all that sort of stuff. So it was sort of self-induced stress as well on myself.
Yeah.
I've got to go back to work. And it was a case I was getting up in the morning and I was thinking, I'm going to face this again. So that was putting stress on myself as well. Don't get me wrong, I was missing the army massively. Probably after that, yeah. I'd say I did say probably, it's not till I've sort of asked for help and stuff as well, that when I've looked back, I said it was like after the first 12 months, and I sort of said that was like a honeymoon period. I met the army, a civilian, I can do what this, I can do that. Actually, I'd say it was probably after 6 months.
Is it?
Looking back now, definitely, because the stress, it was just, and it was just, and again, I just missed it. You know, the banter with the lads. Not that I didn't really have any, because I didn't have any civilian friends really. At the end of the day, I had the lads I used to knock about with. We were only kids, 16 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't have any sort of. I grew up within civilian street. All my mates were military, and a lot of them, my best mates, were still in. You know, they were still within the military. Don't get me wrong, I'm my family and everything, and you know, I go for a drink with my dad quite a lot. You know, Saturdays and Sundays, I have a couple of pints with him, like family time and stuff like that. The football, that was the first thing I did. Bought a season ticket for the Albion with my son, and that was every other Saturday down at the Albion. Again, that was just a thing we did. But other than that, I wouldn't say I was lonely again, because I'm my wife's like my best friend as well, and we're both best friends to each other, sort of thing. So we had each other and all that sort of stuff. But it was that missing that banter, and it was sort of missing going away as well. So I'm back home now. That's it. I don't go away anymore. So you do miss going away, because the way I look at it is, I'm going away with my best mates. I'm working. I'm getting paid for this. Okay, some of them are crap holes where I'm going to, but I'm getting paid for it. I'm with my best mates. At times it's going to be a right laugh. It's going to be adrenaline, some proper adrenaline fixes at certain times. Yeah, it's going to be crap at some times as well. Of course it is. But I'm getting paid for something that I really love and I enjoy. And I'm with my mates. You know, I sort of missed going away as well. And he sort of starts building up. And I think a big, massive contributing factor to me sort of going down that slope of sort of depression and massive anxiety as well.
Yeah.
Going back to that, I couldn't, even in, like, did a couple of board meetings when I had to go to Scotland every sort of, the end of every month to do board meetings, the end of the month, you know, profits, all that sort of stuff. I'd climb up. I was used to like talking to, 200 people, briefing colonels or brigadiers who were really high up on like this is what we've seen, and, giving lessons.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, I'm speaking in front of a few civilians, okay, like a couple of CEOs and stuff like that, chairmans. I climb up, to the point where I was nearly crying. I don't know what it was. I think that's when I realised, what's up with me? What's going on here? What is going on? I didn't understand it myself. And I think that was the first time, when I look back now, when it started to happen, was the clamming up, getting really nervous about speaking to people, literally to the point where I can't do this. I sat myself away to, to another office, calm yourself down. You could even hear my voice, a couple of lads, what I was doing afterwards, when you're right, you could hear the nervousness in the voice, where normally I'll just portray myself straight across. Don't know what it was. I didn't know what it was then. What I do know now is it was just massive anxiety through the stress. And then we got to a certain point then with the first job I had. Took it to profits were back. And then I spoke to him and said, look, let's start getting sort of more already skilled staff in, rather than teaching them, so we can give it. Cause that's how it works. If you get more skilled staff, you've got to pay for it. They wouldn't. They said, look, the profit margin is not big enough yet to get that in. I said, look, I then literally physically took it as far as I can take it. Can't take it any further. I can't anyways. I'll just be sort of staying where we are. I'm not going to be able to take it that little bit more, not with the workforce we've got. And if we're not willing to spend that money on that, that better workforce or such, more skilled people, then I can't. But in the meantime, I got offered another job as a transport manager. Again, another great job, which I didn't know at the time is absolutely, it's one of the most stressful civilian jobs you can get. But also during this, I sort of stopped fitness, and that was massive. Because I wasn't releasing that stress. So that stress was just getting built up and built up and built up. And it wasn't stuff, it wasn't stress. And again, with the depression, it wasn't stuff that I'd gone back to, like flashbacks of what I've seen. So I've seen a lot of horrible stuff, but I've seen a lot of good stuff as well. I was quite lucky where it didn't affect me mentally. What affected me was not the belonging. I didn't belong anymore. I didn't know where I belonged, you know, and I think that's what brought it on. I just got massively depressed over it. I just thought, I don't belong. Where do I belong? What is the purpose of my life?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what it was. It didn't have a sort of purpose. And then it was, I then moved jobs, which was, again, completely stressful. But as I moved jobs, my little sister said, you know, get yourself down the gym. So that's when I went to Velocity in Birmingham. Training club. Yeah. So I went, my sister was down there. So joined down there. I went, nothing's going to replicate army fitness. Just ain't going to do it, you know, hard. Some beastings as we call it, but enjoyable. So it's what we like. You know, make sure, you know, nice and hard and that. And you know, you walk out, yeah, I've had a good session. And it did. It literally ticked every box for me. I was a bit nervous going down there, again, meeting new people, you know, because I was going for what I was going through. But it sort of brought me back out of it. I think out of that, the anxiety started easing off a little bit because I had that fitness back in my life. I absolutely loved it. I put quite a lot of weight on as well, to be honest, because I've always been sort of this weight I am now. I was probably a couple of stone heavier. I think I went up to, you know, 3 stone heavier than what I am now. So got rid of all that weight and, you know, just loved it, and then started doing sort of endurance events. But I'd say the stress of the new job then brought on more anxiety. You know, it was a lot of pressure, and it then got brought back. I've been to a reunion, and that brought back memories of being back with the lads. These lads who've you know, served with, who are still in, some of them. You know, just that one day of being with them, I thought, I just miss it so much. And it just brought it back. I just absolutely missed it. Again, it was that, where do I belong? You know, do I belong here? Do I belong there? And I literally didn't know which way my life was going. I've never had suicidal thoughts or anything like that. When I say, you know, I don't belong anywhere, that's, if I didn't speak up, would it have gone there? I don't know. I'd like to say it didn't, but I couldn't say that. I don't know. But it was that, where do I belong? It just got to, you know, to a point where I just literally did not want to get out of bed at times. Literally, I'd just be like, and Kelly, she didn't know what was going on, so I wasn't speaking to anyone. I was really good, like I was saying earlier on, I was really good at masking stuff. You know, I'd be at, you know, family parties and that, and there's me and my little sister, we're the jokers having a right laugh and, you know, having a really good time, you know, going to the pub, you know, how's it going? Yeah, I've gone great at Christmases, wearing family dues and stuff. And then I'll come back home, the mask can be off, and I'll be just back into a slump. I think we've all seen that advert where I think he's playing cards with his mates, goes back to his flat, and he takes that mask off. That advert, that literally is how it is. It's literally, you put a mask on, you're having a laugh and a joke, you get back home, and the mask's off, and you go back into that state.
That's kind of replicating, though, what you mentioned earlier on, where you're out there with the lads, you're seeing some terrifying things, and you're having a laugh and a joke, and you're putting the mask on.
Yeah. So you're just masking it to get through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so and the stress got that much in the next job. It was, and that was bringing me down as well. Working for a friend as well, it felt like I'm not achieving what I should be achieving. So I was putting more pressure on, because it was, if I didn't want to let a friend down. And even though, again, we spoke, he said, you would never let me down. You just had to speak up. Just should have let me know. But I didn't want to let people know. Because, again, I've already touched on it. I didn't want to look to be seen weak. You know what I mean? What's he going on about? He used to be he's been ex-sergeant major in the army, you know, and that's how I thought. I thought people, you know, he's going to think I'm weak. I'm just, what's all he about? What's it, you know, it was just really, really hard to sort of come to terms with it. So I just didn't speak up about it. And I was literally, which I know now, massively suffering in silence. And stuff my sort of stress levels get to a point where I didn't have any tolerance. I'd really, really, really short-tempered. I never violence or anything like that, but it's the same, it's the story that I tell because I think people can relate to it more. I'd be putting the pots and pans away, just done the washing up after cooking or whatever. And I opened the cupboard, pots and pans were in the right order. And I just, Keller put them in whatever order she'd put them in. I just seen it, I was doing it, but I just absolutely fucking lose it.
Yeah.
I'd be in the kitchen on my own. No one probably in the house around. I don't know why. That was a trigger, and it triggered me. I'd throw all the pots and pans on the floor. Literally, I'd sit on the floor and start crying. Just through pots and pans. And I think it was all to do with it manifested from not belonging and then bringing myself down. At this stage as well, I was sort of lucky enough, we had enough savings where even, I said, look, let's just stop working. Let's try and bring that stress down. Have a look for, you're always going to work. You're always going to get another job. We've got enough savings. Just try and chill out for a little bit. She knew something, she didn't know what was going on. She thought she said, you're going to give yourself an heart attack or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I pulled myself away from that. And then, so it didn't work. And but it made it even worse because I wasn't earning. You know what I mean? I'm meant to be the man of the family. I'm not earning. Man of the house. I'm not earning. I feel like I don't belong anywhere. I'm just like, and then you could see it was affecting my wife, even my parents. You could tell what's up, something up.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, it wasn't till, the realisation was we was at a family wedding, close family friend's wedding, and then I'd had a couple of drinks. I didn't hit. Good thing is I didn't hit the bottle or seek or go to drugs or anything like that. So I was quite lucky with that to try and curb the depression and the anxiety. I used to love a drink, and we all have it's a bit of a binge drink now and again.
Yeah.
Anyway, at a wedding, binge drinking, had a drink, few too many. I just come out and then I don't know what it was. I just had a mad argument with my little sister, and that's not us because my family's that close. We're all really sort of best friends as well. I just had this argument, and I got up in the morning, real bad headache. I was like, what was all that about? I literally said to my mum, what was all that about? Why? I don't know what triggered it. I just thought something's going to give it. It's either I'm going to give or something's going to give. And I think the week later, we was in the pub. Just a normal Sunday, lunchtime, go down there. Literally still do now, have a couple of pints with mum and dad. See everyone ease and that, have a couple of pints. Then go home, have Sunday dinner and stuff. And then it was my mum and my wife, Kel, was sitting there and they looked at me and they went, what's up? And I went, what do you mean? And they literally said, something up. I said, we haven't, and I think this is where reality is. They said, we haven't seen you laugh properly or smile probably for the last 18 months.
Wow.
Literally. Because I masked it that well. So we haven't done it properly. So what is up? And I sort of, when I got back home, I sort of went, masked it again. It really upset me because I knew that, what they know now, there's something up with me. And then went back home. Broke down. Then I literally, the next morning, got up, jumped in my car. Where's you going? Where are you going? I went, she didn't know where I was going. I just jumped in the car, didn't say anything. And she knew I was really upset and she knew I was going through a bit of a stressful time. Didn't know exactly what it was. And I literally phoned a really good friend of mine who just got out of the army.
Yeah.
I call them my guardian angels as such because they really helped me out. They were good family friends. We're still about now. So I drove all the way up to see Al and Carla. Lived in Mansfield, so I drove all the way up there. Said, look, I need a chat. I was on the phone crying. I'm on the I-38, and they said, don't do anything stupid as well. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I just need to. They said, look, Cal's ringing us as well. She's really worried. I went, okay. So they let her know he's on his way up to us. She's all right. And I just had a chat. Literally, the emotion that come out of me, it just cried my eyes out. Literally cried my eyes out. And it was Al. Then turned around and went, look, you need to get back in the army. It's all because you're just not integrating back into civilian life. And he's all, and if you don't, it's going to get worse. And you've spoke up about it now. You need to go and get help as well.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. You spoke up about it. That's 3/4 of the battle. You need to get help. Try and get back in the military because there is opportunities. which, lucky enough, I seen a couple of jobs, went for them. Obviously, this is where I am now. And then stayed with them for the best part of the day. Then went back home, sat down with Cal and said, look, yeah, I've got massive anxiety, massive depression. You know, I've got to go and get help. And that's when I went to Mind. And they helped really. And that was a massive step, going to a non-military organisation to get help. It was just, and I think that's where we fall a little bit within the Ministry of Defence. There is veterans helplines and stuff like that, and you know, different sort of agencies that will help, but they're not sort of, there's not enough of them, I don't think.
Yeah.
You know, and for a person within the military to go to a civilian organisation, it's really hard, because I think you automatically think they ain't gonna know what I'm going on about, and it's not that organisation. It's not Mind. It's not their fault, but they're not trained. Well, they're sort of not. Sort of, I wouldn't say don't get, because they get the depression bit, they get all that because I've seen people with that, but they don't get the military side. They do now, so starting to work with the military, but then sort of didn't really sort of, it's quite hard. So, don't get me wrong, they helped out massively, really helped, and that was obviously the start of the recovery from depression and anxiety and stuff. But it was once I finally admitted it. I seeked help. I wanted help. Others don't want help. You know, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. But I was also doing the fitness at the time as well, so that was a de-stressor for me. I was going out doing runs. I was back on my bike, you know, and that was my sort of, when I was getting stressed, I knew I was getting right. Something's coming in now. I don't know what it is, what's triggered. I need to get out, so I used to go for a run. I used to go get on my bike. Or, you know, get in the gym, go down the gym, and it was like a de-stress for me. And it was a lifesaver. Fitness to me doesn't work for everyone. It works for a lot of people, but to me, fitness was just a massive lifesaver. So I've done it since I was a kid, you know, boxed when I was 10, 11 years old. So I've done it all through my life. I didn't realise how much of a lifesaver it was actually, and that's why, you know, I just can't advocate sort of sport, fitness. You know, you don't have to be a top athlete. You know, you can be just a normal person. Go for a walk. It's just top of fitness. At the end of that, the way I look at it, it just massively helped me out. I think without it, where would it be now? I just don't know. Honestly, it was a massive help. And I think that's why I went into the sort of PT side. So I'm not obviously I am a qualified PT. Don't do it full time. I help out at the gym, and the lads down the gym. So at Velocity, Jamie, Craig, Brian, and you know the other lads down there. They really helped as well. They sort of, I was quite open. They knew. I told them afterwards. I you know, took that step of getting help. I said, look, you know, I've had started speaking up about it. And they didn't sort of keep bringing it up. They sort of helped me along that PT journey as well. You know, and that's become a really good friend base as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it's, you know, they're all my mates. I've got them massively into cycling as well. So it's you know, it's sort of worked out well. But the PT side really helped, and that's when we had your sort of COVID kick in. You know, and then obviously new cough. So I'd say cough's probably my first sort of proper civilian friend, I'd say. You know, again, you know, all born, same with Jason, I think we're all born in the same year, all the same year group. So you sort of lived that life as kids, obviously different areas. We all lived that life as kids, so we sort of got brought up in the same era. As such. Just I met Cough through the gym. That's why it's helped me out so much. So I've met that many people and made quite a lot of friends through that sort of like base of fitness and being down in the gym. So, you know, we used to go out running every Saturday morning before we started doing the run club thing, and we just chat. You know, just generally just chat about fucking just randoms, absolutely, from freaking me being in the army to him his mum's talking about Dutch pots and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's how the chat went. It was really good. And he says he enjoys it as well. He used to enjoy it and that as well. I remember when COVID kicked in, I thought to myself, a lot of people here that are stuck in flats, not doing nothing. We knew from the gyms are stopped. And I said, God, let's get everyone out running, see what happens, see how many people we get out running, sort of thing. We'll do it within the rules of COVID.
Yeah.
When we were allowed to, let's just get everyone out. And he just, so it didn't get massive. Not that I wanted it to get massive anyway. It was just to help people.
Yeah.
And by people then coming out who we knew from the gym, we used to, go for the standard 5K run, do it in pairs or individually, be apart but still talk, sort of thing during the COVID thing. That helped me knowing that he was helping other people as well. From, people were getting anxiety, stopping in flats. People were depressed for not being able to get out. And they were all saying, it's the highlight of the week. Getting out of the house and getting some bit of fresh air. And then it's obviously the rules started easing off a little bit. And then it just evolved from that. I get a massive fix out of knowing that by me doing certain stuff, if it's helping other people, I will, I'll always do it until I can't do it anymore, until I can't, probably cycle anymore because my legs are knackered that much, or run anymore because my legs are knackered. If I know by me doing something that gets attention on through social media, if it helps people, then I'll do it. It's like now I'm doing this, I'm talking about my personal life, and again, a lot of people said, oh, it's quite easy now talking about it. Nah, it's not easy talking about what I've been through, what I'm still going through. I still get it. I still get mornings I don't want to get up. Literally, I'm like, I don't want to get up. I just have them mornings, but I know how to sort of control it now through the help of mind, using different techniques.
And the good thing about it as well, and this is why we wanted to do this episode. One, as men, it's okay to talk.
Yeah.
And you now are showing the benefits of talking. And because of the things that you're doing with the running as well, other men or other people are talking as well and saying, look, I've got a problem, but it's okay. Do you know what I mean? If I talk about it. But you've also done 2 bike, rides as well.
Yeah.
Talk about them things that you were doing and why are you doing it in terms of what awareness are you trying to raise?
Yeah. So the first one, the challenge, because I love the bike that much. I thought I want to do something big that's going to get a bit of attention. It needs to be quite outrageous to get people's attention on through social media and stuff. I'm not a sports star. I'm not, I'm not one of these influencers or anything like that. So it's harder to try and get that audience. All right, I just sat down, and Kels was like, "You're going to do something mad, ain't you?" And I went, yeah, it's going to be big. And I just thought, I looked at Cal, I went, I'm going to ride 1,000 miles in 10 days. And she went, what, really? And I went, yeah, it's happening. Started planning the route and stuff. And then I looked at it and I went, I'm going to do it in 9 days. In fact, I'm not going to do it in 10 days, I'm going to do it in 9 days. So I'll do over 100 miles every day. She just looked at me and went, all right, whatever. Because she knew I'd do it. Once I get the idea in my head, I'm going to do it. But then it was the only thing that let me down on it was the logistics to it. So I then got in touch with a few people trying to be helped out. Again, I was at a wedding. Funnily enough, another wedding. I was at a wedding, and then so Al Fletcher, I mentioned earlier on, Al and Carla. So Carla's brother, who worked for a company, said, "Look, we might be able to supply you a car, like a support car. All you need is a driver." And I went, "Right, okay, that's great." So I'm still serving it. I was back in the army then as well. So I booked my leave. So I booked off for that. So I'm doing it at my own leave and stuff. And I'm right. I might be able to get a car. It hadn't been confirmed. Might be able to get a car. Unfortunately, that company, not the individual who was doing it for me, sort of couldn't do it or wouldn't do it. So what Stephen, his name was, what he did, he's all right, because I ain't going to do that. I'm going to get you a hotel every single night. So I can't you having. So I was going to go to army camps, stay on a camp bed, literally. We were like in a sleeping bag, get back on my bike the next day and go and do another 100 odd miles. It would have been really, really tough if it ended up being like that. But Stephen kindly gave me his sort of loyalty points through Holiday Inn. So I had a hotel every single night, which was great. It was really needed as well. About halfway through, and then my best mate who was in depot with, in training with, like Chris Dowling. So he's a major now. So he carried his career on. He's a major. Real good friend of mine. He heard about it. He went, right, I'll do the driving for you. I was really, he went, yeah, I'll do the driving. We just need a car. And then someone else helped me out, got me a car. Ended up starting in Edinburgh. I went, right, this is what the score is. 1,000 miles, literally from bouncing. So sort of, it worked out about 112, when I worked out 115 a day of cycling. So starting in Scotland, it was meant to finish, sort of go all the way down to Winchester, where I did my training, where sort of our regimental HQ was, and then sort of another 2 days, then back up to Birmingham, which would have been the 9 days. Didn't quite go to plan that way. The 1,000 miles was done, so did the Edinburgh bit. It was tough. Yeah, it was tough. I think the reason I did it, I just wanted to show people that the mind is such a powerful thing if you put it to work and you have it work for you, not against you. Because the mind, I'll do it in the gym. It's like took a session this morning in the gym. It's the what's it called? The book, The Chimp Effect. I don't know if I can't remember the name of the professor that's done it. So he's worked with British cycling, the Chimp Paradox, I think it's called, where he's worked with British cycling. I think he's worked with Man United. He's a real like in-depth sports psychologist. Yeah. What he says is, obviously your mind works in different ways, but when it gets really, really hard, you get that sort of, what they called it is that chimp, and it's telling you to stop doing it, stop pushing yourself. And you listen to it, it literally takes over, but you've got to be able to tell that, you know what, no. And it can be done. If you've got that mental strength to say, no, I'm carrying on. I know I've got another 40% in me. So you've given you 60. Once you hit that 60%, that's when the mind starts going, you know, that's it now. No, we're stopping. But there's another 40% there, guaranteed, another 40%. So it's all down to that mental strength to be able to push past that. It's hard to do, but it's something you learn to do over time. It's something through being in the army, you've had to push yourself that little bit more. So for me, I could push myself. So yeah, I just sort of, at times it was so hard. It just went, right, now I've got to keep going. I'm doing it for a reason. I'm trying to showcase that, you know what, in times of desperation, which it was at times, some of it was really hard. You can always push yourself, and there always is a light at the end of that tunnel. Even you know, when you're going through extreme parts of your life, you know, really hard parts of your life, that, you know what, push past it, get past it. It can get better. It will get better, and there are people there that will help you. And that's what I wanted to showcase. Yeah. And then once I started getting into it and put it on socials, it started going, you know, started getting bigger and bigger. I think it was about 2.5K in the end. Yeah. But it was never about the money. And I said it was always never about the money. And I'd always do a write-up, you know, that night after I'd finished, just about the mental side of it. Yeah. That's what I wanted to just showcase. Say, look, yeah, it is going to get hard at times, but like with Chris with being there, he'd push me a little bit. Come on, you can keep going. Yeah. You know, with that help, and by speaking up, you can get past it. And that's what I wanted to showcase more than anything. By doing that as well, so I did a few short, I told people that I was suffering. And by me coming forward and speaking about it, I had that many sort of messages of people I didn't even know. Saying, you've really helped me. I don't feel alone anymore. Yeah. That's what it is. People feel they're alone. They can't get any help. I was getting messages off people saying, oh, you're doing a great thing. Don't feel alone anymore. But the amount of, I'd say, friends and lads that I've sort of commanded in the army, to see their sergeant major open up about this, it's helped. I know it's helped loads of lads within the army, within my regiment. And that to me is, you know what, it's done its job. And then I've now realised that by speaking out about this, you know, speak out more and more and more, getting a momentum going, it's just helping more people.
Yeah.
Like, massively helping more people. So yeah, we did the 1,000 miler, and one of them was one of the stages at the end was really poignant, especially to Chris and to me, because I stopped at a place. I always get it wrong. Walks up. Is it walks up? I think it walks up just outside of Mansfield, sort of near Sheffield. So there was a really, really good bloke called Gaz Case. So Gaz was absolutely phenomenal soldier, real brilliant bloke. I think it was the first sort of mixed race RSM of the battalion. Real top bloke. Went commissioned to be an officer, so got his officer. Decided to get out in the end. He said, "Yeah, I've had enough now," so got out. But then joined the FTRS, what I do now. Got awarded his MBE, but literally before he found out he got his MBE, but no one knew he was masking his depression, you know, and stuff without going into it. But you know, he wasn't in a good way at all. And then unfortunately, Gaz took his life just due to it. I wouldn't say couldn't get the help. You know, yeah, I don't know the whole ins and outs, and I don't think we ever will. But you know, and it's stuff like that. I think, you know, it's just because Gaz was such a massive figure in other people's lives as well.
Yeah,
and he was a massive loss, absolute massive loss. Sammy's wife, you know, dearly misses him. So Leonie's daughter as well. So one of the stops was, and Gaz used to get on a bike as well. And
yeah.
Sam, his wife, then realised, I now know why Gaz used to get on his bike quite a lot, going for long bike rides. It was that getting out, getting on his own, just clearing the mind, sort of thing. But so just before I did it, Sam, I had my bike stolen, in fact, and that put me in a bad way. About a month before I was about to do this challenge, and then Sam, looking after the insurance, obviously the insurance we're going to pay out was the fact that I've had my bike sneaked in it. That was my sort of, am I going to cope with this? It put me in a bad way for a couple of days, actually. Depression wise. But you know, how can someone do this to me? That's my get out. That's how I get away from the stress and stuff. But during that time of getting a new one, in fact, Cough said use my bike as well. So I had loads of offers, you know. So I was using Cough's bike, but then Sam said, "I've got Gazzy's bike here. You can use it if you want." And she, at this time, she hadn't actually, because she's still going for that grieving process. Hadn't actually give any of Gazzy's stuff away, so all his stuff still at the house. I went, "You sure, Sam?" She went, yeah, no problems. I went, all right. So we'd gone up. Thanks, you know, so much for it. And I went, brilliant. But then used, I can't remember what state. I think it was like day 4. I think of the day 4 or 5 of the ride, where I used Gazzy's bike for that part of the ride, and it was quite poignant, and it was, you know, it was quite special to do that, and then finish that stage at Gazzy's and Sam's house, and all his family were there as well. And it was just, you know, again, broke down in tears just because of people being there. It's quite emotional. Just there. Quite a few of my family came up as well. It was good because the press were there as well. So you know, got into the local rag and all that sort of stuff, and the reason why I was doing it. But that's one of the reasons why I do it as well, because knowing I've done that, and then why by Sam, she probably doesn't realise it by giving me the bike. It's probably helping her with that grieving process as well. And actually giving me something of Gazzy's. But yeah, so that really helped. And that's one of the reasons I do what I do, because I don't want to see, you know, other lads. I want to see lads go and get the help, you know, what they probably need. But then we got to one stage, and we're in the route, didn't really plan it as good as what I should have done, so I put too many hills in it. Not that I'm scared of a hill, but it's just taking its time. So when I got to the Birmingham stage, and I was to my house, we sort of sat down, and Chris was saying in board and went, if we carry on doing the hills and the route you're doing, you're not going to complete it in the 9 days. And it's not about the route you're doing, it's about the mileage. It's all about the mileage. And he had a point. I was adamant, and I was quite forceful. No, I'm doing it. You know, just pig-headed. I'm doing it. And then I got up the next morning and realised it was that night. Kelly said, you ain't going to do it. You ain't going to do it in 9 days. and that's going to put you in a right state. And I thought, you know what, they are right. So they ended up doing the rest of the mileage sort of round home, going all the way up to sort of Nottingham and doing all different routes. But we ended up doing 964 miles in 8 days. So so I literally near enough did it in 8 days. But the attention it got by me doing it, and just showcasing that you know what, you are stronger than what you believe you are. A lot of people, you know, put themselves down. I'm not, no, I can't get through this. And the only other option is by taking a life. A lot of people say back, you know, old school, oh, it's easy. Yeah, he's done it. It's the easy way out, and it's not. It is a disease, and it's a disease that and an illness that can't be cured. I don't think it'll ever be cured, ever. You only can sort of cure it. You can't cure it, but you can combat it by having that, by learning, you know, where your trigger is going to be, learning how to control those feelings as well. Some people find it really hard, and they have to go to the antidepressants and stuff, which is fine. If it works, and that's good. With me, it's all about the sport, the fitness. That's my antidepressant. That's my pill of dealing with, you know, the issues, which I still get now. I don't get them as often, but I do get them. Stuff puts me down now and again. But you know, I've got that sort of fitness side to it as well. And by me speaking about it, I think people know why I do certain stuff. It's not just a case of I was doing it to be in the limelight and stuff like that. No, I do it because I'm trying to help other people do it. You know what I mean? So,
and you're, because what I've heard as well is that you're a big motivator as well, right? You motivate people a lot, so much, right, that you was nominated to carry the Commonwealth, part of that relay for the CommonwealthTorch. How was that feeling? Because again, from listening to you, you're using all of your platforms now, availability, anything that's available to you to raise awareness, which I think is a really, really good thing. But how was that?
That was, so I didn't even realise it was going to happen, to be honest. The first time I knew it was going to happen, I got an email, because you get an email by people who've nominated you. It literally, it's the email they've written, because you've got to approve it, which is I find a bit strange. So, and then I had about 10 different nominations. I think Cough was one of them. Cough, there's a girl called Jo, and that they said, right, let's nominate Stu. Not that I would have said no, you know, because I'm not that type of person. I don't like being in the limelight. You know, like when it comes to like big birthday parties, I'm like 50 next year. I don't want a birthday party. When I was 40, don't want a birthday party. Don't like being in the limelight. I just like to be that grey man, what I was talking about before when I joined the army. I'm like, I don't know what it is about being in the light. I just don't like it. But when I got nominated, it was really special that I'm actually, because I don't think I realised I was thought of that way. And I didn't realise how many, and people saying, you know, you've helped us, you know, they didn't go into in the ins and outs. So you help that many people, you help us, you know, the way you are, the way you motivate people, the stuff you do, you know, you don't have to do it, but you just do it because you know it. Because I get a fix out of helping people, and that's, you know, I get a joy from it. It makes me happy. And to be nominated, it was really special. Off every individual, really, really special. And I thought, if I get it, I get it. I didn't think I was going to get it. Then I got the emails saying, you know, I'd been selected to carry the torch, sort of thing. And it was a really, when I finally got it, it was a really, really special day. Really special day. Really grateful to the people that nominated me as well, for doing that, because we all help each other. You know, that circle we've got, especially with the run club and that, we're there for everyone. You know, the run club, it was there for COVID, but what it is now, it's not massive. It'll never get massive. I don't want it to be like massive. We turn up, go for a run, have a bit of a chat, go for a coffee afterwards, and just have a chat. Just, you know, just friends, just enjoying a Saturday morning. You know what I mean? It's the start of a good day. You know, some people would have had a bad week and sort of drop back, have a little bit, have a bit of a chat. And people do open up, which is really, really good. And it's good we got that sort of trust and that bond within the group.
Yeah.
And then people can feel that they can chat outside of probably their own family circle, which is good because it's letting them de-stress and just getting it off their chest, you know what I mean, and taking that weight off their shoulders. And that's what, again, it's a special thing for me as well. And I've always said, even if one person turns up, you know, if I'm not on holiday or stuff like that, I'll still go. I'll still go on my own, you know, if it is what it is. But yeah, so, and that's, you know, I know it helps and people enjoy going. So as long as people still enjoy going, it'll keep going, sort of thing. But yeah, that those who come on the Run Club who nominated me, it was people from the gym that nominated me as well. It was a real sort of special moment. Yeah.
And because I could sit here all evening speak, because I think, right, it's so interesting and it's helping even me get my head round things, and just to hear that it's okay as men.
No, definitely.
Right, we need to speak a lot. I think we need to speak a lot more about it's okay to open up.
Yeah.
Right, you're not going to be looked at differently.
No.
Just open up and speak, because there's people around you that will help, and there may be somebody going through the same situation as yourself. But if you could, I'm going to ask you two questions really, right? First one is, if you could go back and speak to the 16-year-old that first signed up to join the army, knowing everything that you know now, because it sounds like you've had a wonderful career, that, you know, it's brought you to places, and, you know, you've experienced things. What would you say to that 16-year-old now?
It's a really hard question, that is. Just be you, be open, and just go for it. Grasp every opportunity you can get, which I sort of did. Just grasp every opportunity you can get. You know, even if it's something you probably think you're not going to like, just go and do it. I really haven't had any regrets while I've been in the army. And I've had such a good career. I'm still having a good career. It'd just be a case of go and live it again. Don't change anything. Even the bad times, do not change anything. Don't get me wrong. There's if I could clip my fingers and bring certain people back that we've lost, you know, the best mate was killed out in Afghanistan. If I clip my fingers, bring him back, I'll do it. Literally, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll literally do it tomorrow. But unfortunately, we haven't got them magic fingers, unfortunately. But yeah, it'd just be a case of just do it again. Just do it. Don't change. Be you. Just be who you are.
And it's so amazing to like hear that full circle, because when we were speaking earlier on, you was talking about when you left and you had that look back and looked at your parents and they saw in your face how you was feeling. And it seems like you're just walking into the unknown.
Massively.
And listening to what you're saying now, it's a beautiful thing it's like a full circle.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. But the final question I want to ask you is, if you was in charge of the MOD, or you had the purse strings for it, what are some of the things that you would put in place for service people, men and women, that are leaving?
So I'm glad you asked that question, Stephen, because the Rifles Regiment, my sort of former regiment, because I'm Mercian Regiment now, but the regiment I grew up in, spent 23.5 years with, and they are the first regiment to do it. So I'm hoping it's going to go sort of Ministry of Defence wide. We've got a thing called the Always Rifleman Program. So when we join, so obviously you get to call different things. So if you join the Rifles, you're not a private, you're a rifleman. So that's the lowest rank, is a rifleman. But you're a white, even if you're a major or a colonel or a brigadier, you could be a general. So the head of the army at the minute, Patrick Saunders, he's chief of the defence staff. He'll say, I'm a rifleman, you know, because that's where we're from. That's our background. So we've got a thing called the Always Rifleman Program. It's been up and running a good couple of years now. So the way it works is for people who was in my situation, there's a number out there that they can call. And when they call this number, it's at the end of the phone. What'll happen is I could get a text now. It's from the Always a Rifleman program. I get a text. Is anyone near this postcode with it? I think it's within 60 minutes of this postcode.
Yeah.
So that's all you get. Yeah, I'm there. And then what'll happen is you'll get a phone call off someone to say, right, so-and-so, you might even know him because the regiment's that big.
Yeah.
You might never serve with them. So-and-so is going through a real bad time. He needs a bit of help. You'll get a bit of a background on it. You won't go into massive detail, but get a bit of background on it.
Yeah.
Can you go down? Yeah, no dramas. Jump in a car and you go down. Literally, they give you that address and you go down, and that's point in place. It's like sort of a networking thing. You go down, you talk to the individual, and you're just there for them.
Yeah.
But by having no other regiment's got this in place, by that person will probably more than likely ring that number rather than ringing, say, Mind or another civilian organisation.
Okay.
They're not speaking to another military person.
Yeah.
They know when they ring that number that someone from their regiment, might even know them, but someone from their regiment they serve with or still are serving with is going to come down for a chat. You know, and then it progresses from there. If they need some more help, and then it's the Always Rifleman program then kicks in. So there's an ex-lieutenant colonel, Baz Miller, his name is, who sort of does it sort of full time. He was my old sergeant major, so he went through all the ranks to a lieutenant colonel. He literally can't go any further. Still, Scouser through and through. He sort of lives down south. And then what he will do, he'll then start putting things into place for that individual.
Yeah.
You know, he's got people back into housing. He's helped people get back jobs. You know, we're talking people that have really been on their bellies. Literally, they've got nothing. They've got nothing left. People have been, have done a bit of time in prison. Just misdemeanor sort of stuff. They've come out and they've got nothing. And we don't want it to go that way of, right, and they're completely forgotten about. Yeah. That number's there to help these individuals, because once you're a rifleman within the regiment, you'll always, until, you're sort of no longer on this planet just due to age or whatever. Yeah. You always will be a rifleman. And there's always other riflemen there to help you. And the regiment will always, this is finally being put into place. That regiment will always as well. This, to me, is one of the best things that's happened within the army. And it's us as a regiment that have, brought it to light. I'm just hoping that other regiments look at it and think, what a great idea. What a brilliant idea. Let's get it across. Knowing that if someone needs that help, they're going to ring up and they're going to get someone from that area as well where they're living, and from the regiment they used to live in, turning up to have that chat. I just think if that gets bought in, I think a lot of sort of it's obvious to say, but suicides will stop. Yeah, because that's what we're trying to fight against. Is suicide and helping people get back on the feet. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's let's not waste that life. Let's try and help them as much as we can. But as we always say, and even Baz will say, you only can help people that want to be helped, and that's the thing. And to want to be helped is, if I'm helping that person by actually speaking up, actually, I do need help. If Stu can do it, you know what? I can do it, and that's it, really.
Do you know what? See, that is a perfect way to end, this discussion, because you was talking about Mind, right? Seeking help and going that way. But I think what you've just mentioned is that bridge, because you're speaking with people that's actually experienced it, and then they can help you to take that next step and that next journey to go and seek that help from organisation. I think that's really is perfect. That is perfect. I mean, if you've got any contact numbers for it as well, pass them over as well, and any graphics that you want us to put up on our visuals for this episode.
Across.
Yeah, because I really want to push it. I really want to push it, and I think definitely for this episode, it's raising that awareness, especially also for anyone that's in the military, male or female, but I think more so for men, because we don't speak enough.
Yeah.
We definitely don't speak enough, and I think this episode is showing that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to do. Thanks for coming on.
No dramas. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Right up, man.